so much. And thank you to everyone for being here. We've all taken a moment from our day, whether it's away from work or away from our day-to-day, to be here, to connect, as Lindsay was saying, the importance of connection. And we're so grateful to have you. So thank you. Thank you for joining this conversation with the four of us. My name is Shadille Estepan. My pronouns are she, ella. I'm the Communications and Creative Manager at Born This Way Foundation. And Born This Way Foundation is a nonprofit started by Lady Gaga and her mom, Cynthia Germanata, with the mission of supporting youth mental health, the mental health of all of us, and to work with young people and with community members like the ones we have on stage and like each of you to build a kinder and braver world. And we get to do that today by leaning into a conversation about mental health, about what it means to be there for each other, about what it looks like to support a peer, and what it looks like to support ourselves. And so I'd love for our panelists to also introduce themselves, and I'll kick it over to Khloe.
Well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Khloe. I'm 15 years old. I'm an international philanthropist, so I have my own nonprofit organization called Khloe Kares. I help women experiencing homelessness. I teach kids leadership workshops and business skills, and I install water pumps in bathroom facilities in Ghana, in schools that don't have access to clean water. I'm also a businesswoman myself, and I have my own sustainable and eco-friendly menstrual pad company called Peachtree Pads.
You're amazing. I feel like I'm next to a superhero. Actually, two superheroes. My name is Miry Whitehill. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am the founder and executive director of Miry's List. We're a nonprofit organization working with families who have resettled in the United States as refugees. And most of the folks who are in our program are parents with young children from countries including Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and most recently Ukraine and Moldova. And it takes a whole lot to move to a new country, even under quote-unquote perfect circumstances. And that's what we do, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Hello, my name is Madin Lopez. I'm the executive director of Project Q. We're a salon and community center here in Los Angeles. We do free haircuts for housing and homeless and housing insecure queer youth of color. So that has changed from just haircuts to now we do full wraparound services. We have therapy, we have free clothing, we have a free store, and folks are able to come in and also be a part of our young internship program and hopefully turn into some of these folks you see on the stage here today.
Thank you all so much. We are privileged to be speaking with you, and Madin, I'd love to lean on how social connection supports mental health. And I'd love for you to invite us into what it looks like to create social connection and to lean into those topics in your song.
Oh, I mean, the salon space it's the heartbeat of a town, right? You go there, you can find out where you can get the best food in town, you can find out where the best DJs are playing, but you can also find out where you can get the best services. And not only that, but the connection, the immediate trust that you have to have with your stylist when sitting in their chair is a complete game changer for folks that don't experience trust in many other places. So for us, having queer stylists of color doing hair for other queer youth of color coming in with their curly bits and their straight bits, being able to feel seen and loved, and then being able to take that and leave with it and give it away, right? So that's the real social connection that we create in our space. And it's a beautiful thing because it's something that I want and need, and then now we pass it along to the next generation.
So there's this place where people already come together for a specific reason, but they walk away with resources, with community, and with the opportunity to interact and feel seen and validated. I love that, and I think the three of you and so many of us in the room do this in a lot of ways in our own spaces. And Miry, our team at Born This Way Foundation was quite literally in your home. I saw people walking through the doors of your home, the backyard of your home, putting their bags down, and really feeling in community through the connection that you've created. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what that looks like in your space and through your work.
Well, Miry's List began 6 years ago. At the time, I was on maternity leave from my job. I used to work in advertising. And a friend of mine had just met a family who had recently moved to Los Angeles as refugees, and she thought that she would call me because they had a baby who was the same age as my youngest. And that phone call led me to meeting this family in their home. And once I was there, I could just kind of look around the room, and I noticed that their home looked significantly different from mine. And I noticed that there were a lot of things missing, things that I considered essential just to pass a single day with two little kids in my house. And I wanted to help them to get their home set up. And that meeting, that family, that was the first Miry's List family. I didn't realize it at the time. I also didn't realize that the situation that I was witnessing in their home was actually representative of what life is like for somebody who is coming with their family through the US refugee resettlement system. I didn't realize that oftentimes resettling refugees are starting out in homes that are not set up to be safe and functional and to be comfortable. And friend to friend, person to person, family to family, that meeting turned into what's now a full-fledged nonprofit organization. And I'm happy to share that we actually enrolled our 1,000th family in the program this past month. And what started with just me and a few friends and neighbors wanting to help a couple of new people in our community has turned into an organization now supporting families in 23 states. And we've been able to engage 230,000 American people in this very fulfilling, very rewarding work. And it is not only rewarding for the people who are new here, it is rewarding for all of us. I mean, you were in my yard this morning packing welcome kits for families, and it truly is a transformative experience for everyone. And thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you for creating a space where we could learn about your work. I can't describe truly what I felt walking through your doors. I felt at home, and I'm sure that that's what you do with so many, the thousands of families that you've supported. So thank you for the work that you do and for being an example for all of us. And Khloe, speaking of example, my goodness, I met Khloe when she was 8 years old. I started at Born This Way Foundation as a 19-year-old. I'm 29 now. When we say we work with and for young people, Khloe is an example, and all of you in this space, every one of us young at heart, are all what we talk about. This is what we mean. And so to see Khloe grow in all of these ways, quite frankly, I could cry in how beautiful it's been. And Khloe, if you could walk us through your journey, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that social connection and how that looks for you and the work that you've done since you were 8.
Yes, I can. It all started when I was 8, as she said. Khloe Kares initially started with me on my way to school in the car, and I would see this woman who I did not know of her name yet, but her name was Michelle. And every single day I would see her. She would stay at this abandoned clinic, and it was every single day. And I slowly started incorporating her into my day-to-day and asking my mom different questions on, why she was there, how she got there, is there something we can do? And my mom gave me the best answer she could based off what she's observed and what she realized. Yes, her there. But truly, it really did something. I don't know, I feel like it's something in my heart changed when I realized what she was going through and that I could help her, and I knew that I had to do something. And so I remember running to my mom, coming up with a plan, and told her I need to do this. Luckily at the time, my grandma, she was teaching me how to make tote bags, and I was like, I'm gonna make bags and I'm gonna fill them with all these different items, and I did such that. I made about 25 to 30 bags, and so I started passing them out, and I realized that there are a lot of people experiencing homelessness, first of all, but as well as so many people I can talk to and I can have this experience with, as I did with Michelle, because I swear it felt like hours I was talking to her about her experience and her life and just all that she's gone through. And I knew that in that moment I needed to continue doing it. And so it was that moment of social connection and connecting with someone that really changed my life forever, essentially. And now I'm able to do stuff like this and connect with so many more people on so many different levels because of it all. And so really my social connection really started and became what it is now because of Michelle, really.
Thank you so much, Khloe. So many of us, yes. Yes, let's hold space for those snaps and those claps and keep them coming. Thank you so much. It's, I had a question here, but something else really surfaced for me as you all were speaking, and it's how the work that you do in these separate spaces are all connected to mental health. There's an inextricable link between the work that each of you do and the mental health of the community, the wellness that you create and that space. And I'd love to hear, Khloe, if we could stick with you for a second, I'd love to hear what it looks like for you to support a peer. That peer-to-peer connection. What does it look like for you, and anything that comes up? I'll just stop there. I really want to hear from you.
Yeah. So from my own personal experience, I've made myself the person that anyone can come and talk to. I make sure I have an open ear, because I feel like a lot of times people just want to be heard. So I leave an open ear, I listen, and I allow to become a safe space for others to come and feel comfortable when talking with me. Like, for example, I've had friends who have struggled with their mental health. I've had one who had suicidal thoughts at a point, but I feel as if someone in that situation, they don't talk about it. And I'm so grateful that he came to me and decided that he was able to voice how he felt in that situation. And this was last year or 2 years ago when this happened. And, it was my first time encountering something like that. And, I'm not certified in any sort of way. I can't, professionally help someone. But it was the fact that I was able to create a space where he felt comfortable to come and talk to me and ask for help, essentially. And I think that's something that I've always made myself as a person, is someone they can come to when they need help, just in any sort of situation. And I truly do think that's what I do, essentially. I just make sure I'm an open ear. I'm always happy to listen. I'm always happy just to be there for someone if they need it, whether it's through my charity work or in my personal life, it's the same way. So yeah, I just make myself as a safe space for others.
Thank you, Khloe. Thank you so much for doing that for your community and for your peers. I'm so grateful to hear that you were able to connect with your friend, and I hope that he's doing well. And for Born This Way Foundation and our friends at jack.org, it was incredibly important to do just that. Teach young people how to navigate seemingly difficult conversations about mental health. All of us. We've all, I think, at some point in our lives have had the opportunity to be there for someone. And the weight and sometimes the thought around how to do that, how to best equip ourselves to do that, doesn't always come innately. And that's okay, because it takes practice, to be quite honest. I've been doing this work for 6 years, connecting about mental health, and I learn something new every day. And you all have, those of you here on the floor and some of you around, and we have many of these flyers on the tables, but as I shared, our friends at jack.org created the Be There certificate in partnership with Born This Way Foundation. And the Be There certificate is essentially what Khloe has described as the opportunity to learn how to lean into a conversation about mental health with a loved one, with a peer, with a friend. It provides a framework on how to do that, And it's available in English, French, and I, as a Latina, am so proud to say is also available in Spanish. To share this with my family, to share this with my friends in the US or overseas has really been a privilege. And I'd love to hear Miry and Madin, if this topic surfaces anything for you both. I'm sure it does. What does being there look like in supporting someone's mental health for each of you?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned at Project Q, we have an on-staff therapist for not just our interns, but it's free therapy for any queer people of color. So if anyone in the room needs somebody to talk to, please check us out. But that started because people come in crisis and they sit in my chair and I can only help them so far. I'm not a clinician, but I am thankful that I have the gift of gab. People feel like they can open up to me a little bit. But what I started noticing is that my mental health would start to slip because I realized that I couldn't be there as much as I wanted to for the people that were in my chair. So having free therapy has really changed the game at how people are able to interact with our community space and with themselves. And so that kind of leaks into like our idea of what a wraparound service is, right? Like, no, I'm not giving you a medical transition, I'm not giving you clinical care, but I am helping your mental space and how you see yourself in the mirror, because a gender affirming haircut, a binder, tucking undies, all of these are things that will help you feel better about yourself, and then that affects your mental health.
And Miry, how important is it, thank you, Madin, thank you so much about recognizing those different ways that we can support a young person that walks through your doors, anyone. I'm very curious, how important, Miry, is it for you to be equipped to be there for someone, to know how to do it before it happens? You mentioned Madin mentioned that they've got the gift of gab. And although we can all improvise, how important is it to lean on what to lean on some of the resources that you're aware of to have these conversations before you need them?
So, raise your hand if you have ever been new somewhere. New school, new town. Okay, so you can put your hands down, and you don't have to have ever lived through resettling as a refugee to put yourself into the shoes of what it might feel like to be new somewhere, because all of us have been new somewhere. And one of the things that I have learned from these now thousands of people that I've had the chance to meet and talk to about what their life experience has been like is that to migrate, when you're fleeing violence and persecution, often what is needed to survive is to become invisible. And you become a number and you wait in line, and there is not a lot of informed consent when it comes to this process. It takes patience and hard work and money and connections, and that waiting. It's endless waiting because you don't know what stage you're in of the process. You don't know when the next stage will begin, and you don't know what percentage done you are. And then for many families, when they arrive, what the US government provides for refugees is 90 days of support and a caseworker. That caseworker will pick a family up at the airport, take them to a motel, provide food for the first night. So everyone who raised their hand, you've been new somewhere, raise your hand if you've ever been fully acclimated to that new place within 90 days. Not a single hand, yeah. It takes time to become acclimated. And so one of the ways that we can show up for families who have been put into circumstances where they have to be invisible to survive is, like you said, Khloe, just talking to them and listening and asking, what do you need? One of the first things that we do with a new family who's enrolled in our program, we enroll 32 new families in our program the first of every month. And within 48 hours of enrollment, they're gonna get a phone call from someone on our team And that person is going to welcome them. Sometimes it's me and sometimes it's one of my colleagues. And then we talk to them about what they need. And when I say, what do you need, I'm not just talking about like the thing, I'm also talking about your preference. So, okay, so you need a bed. Do you prefer a more firm mattress or a more soft mattress? Okay, for your 5-year-old daughter, find out, can you ask her, what's her favorite color? What color bedding does she want? The color of your bed sheets, it might seem to you or me as something small or even frivolous. But when we put ourselves into the shoes of somebody who has had to truly release everything about them that makes them unique, just the thinking about what is my favorite color, what is my comfort preference between these 2 or 3 options, that can be very healing. It can be an opportunity for that person to think about themselves, just themselves, and what makes themselves a unique human being. And that is transformative. Ultimately, that's what we want for all of the families who are in our program, that they can come back to the people that they were before they were in the mindset of survival. And that is just so important. And I think it sets the tone for the full 12-month program that we offer for these families.
Thank you so much. There's so much that we can unpack from everything that each of you have said. And quite frankly, if it were up to me, I would keep talking to you all day. And really inviting us all to continue to learn about your incredible, impactful work. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for the way you show up in the world and for how you share it with all of us. We're truly grateful. And I'd love to end on a note of how do you care for yourselves? And so we have a short amount of time, but recognizing that while we care for others, it's incredibly important to fill our own cups and to find these anchors and these ways in which we can support ourselves every single day so that when we need them, we can lean on them. And so we'll go very quickly, but if you could share what your anchors are, what are these things you're leaning on right now, that would be wonderful. Khloe, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I lean on books and music. I'm a huge vinyl collector, and reading has always been my way of not only escaping, but almost kind of coming back to everything. I love reading. You can sometimes even find me in a corner reading a book because I just need to take a break and relax. But I really do think it's reading, popping on a vinyl, and sitting and cuddling up in my bed. And that's just how I kind of handle things. And that's just always been my way of doing things. But yeah.
I also love reading. I exclusively read trashy books and like the snackiest book possible because it just helps. And so many of my friends are like, oh, did you read this serious article about refugees or this book about a refugee journey? And I'm just, I can't. It's not self-care for me to read anything that's of any substance. So the snackiest thing possible. I also love piano, and I have 2 children who are 9 and 6, and so for me, sometimes self-care is just going to the dentist, and dental care counts as self-care. Yes.
Agreed. I mean, I'm glad that we've got some readers up here. I just like to read sci-fi, so that's how I like to speculate my own fiction and future. But right now, self-care looks like trusting the people around me to show up, because when you lead, you're so used to being the only leader in a space, and so really being able to kind of take that off of your own plate and trust those around you. It's an exercise, but it's also how I show up for myself right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I can imagine that in this conversation, so many of you have asked yourselves these very same questions. What are my anchors? What am I leaning on? How am I in service to others? And I hope that this conversation has inspired you in some way. And I'm getting the nod that we're about to wrap up. But I'd love for everyone to take out their mobile devices. let's all, if you have one, please take out your mobile device and open up Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, your app of choice. Or if there are others.
TikTok.
TikTok, that's right. We're of the younger generations. I'm a comms manager. How could I? No, I'm kidding. And so now that you are ready to type in that search, I'm going to invite Khloe and Miry and Madin to share the @ for each of their organizations so that we can all follow and learn more and participate in their impactful work by following and supporting in any way that we possibly can. Khloe.
Yeah, so I'm more active on Instagram, I'm just letting you know now. But it's Khloe Kares, so Khloe Kares. So Khloe like the Kardashian, and then just Kares with a K. So yeah.
Khloe Kares. Sorry, Khloe Kares. Now,
Miry's list is like Mary, but with an I, so MIRYSLIST. And we are on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and my pet tortoise, Betty, has a TikTok.
And mine is project_Q_. The whole one was taken, that was my bad. But project_Q_, or you can go to projectq.me. We're working on the mobile website right now, and it's really cute, so can't wait for y'all to see it.
thank you so much. And we know that some of you are typing really fast, and you may want to follow them on other accounts, and that's okay too. There are QR codes in every area of this space, inviting you to scan to a link tree where Born This Way Foundation has listed the work of these 3 incredible organizations and so many others that are actually in this room and very local to you. And so again, with this, I want to thank you all for leaning into this conversation and how we can be there for each other, be there for ourselves, and especially to our panelists for sharing about your work and about yourselves with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much.